know what they're going to do.
And we did see Envy with a couple of changes to their own draft strategy yesterday, getting very heavily focused on those utility bottom side AD carries, first picking the Varus very often when they were on blue side, or this time around they are going to wind up being starting on the red side. They are the LCS team, so they did wind up getting the side selection in games 1, 3, and 5. Something about that red side, maybe it was from what they learned in their series against United yesterday.
We'll have to see. Yeah, and obviously Gold Coin United keeping a little bit of the same bans. They keep the Ziggs one. We talked about how it seems like a lot of teams were targeting EnVy's ability to draft AP champions in other positions. So by taking away the Ziggs, the Elise, and oftentimes the Rumble was another one that we saw frequently, it does force Ninja a little bit onto the AP champions in mid lane. Can't play his kind of signature Talon and Jace. But yesterday we saw Team EnVy still being able to play that when they took the Zyra support as well as grabbing Echo top.
Yeah, and we also wind up seeing Ninja perform on Syndra for the first time. We've seen him since, well, basically the start of the NALCS in the spring split. But it does look like all the bans locked in. It's going to be the Ziggs, the Malzahar, and the Elise. Pretty standard bans against Team EnVy so far in the promotion tournament. And then Shen, Ashe, and Rengar banned away by Team EnVy. Shen, of course, is going to be something that Solo has used to great effect. The double global pressure, the late game split push potential. And then the Ashe, which has risen in priority just in this tournament in and of itself.
Right, I actually think this is a pretty interesting pick ban phase so far because we see the Graves taken away first for Santorin. A lot of teams feel like Lyra is the big hard carry, obviously, for Team EnVy. And if you limit it to a champion that can really only take over the early game, he can't obviously hard carry team fights. Rek'Sai becomes a knockup bot. Lee Sin becomes kind of an insect machine, these kinds of champions, whereas Graves becomes a legitimate late game carry. So a lot of people want to make sure Lyra cannot end up on that, but it does open up the Camille and the Varus pick, two champions that were super high priority come the end of last series for EnVy.
Yeah, Apollo played that Varus almost every single game he could in the series against United yesterday, and then Seraph, as we mentioned, two extremely good performances on Camille in that 3-1 victory over United yesterday. GCU, though, they're going to wind up picking up the Caitlyn and the Karma lane. Lots of poke potential, lots of early game damage coming out from that lane. The Caitlyn itself was something that EnVy was banning away in the second ban phase yesterday against United.
Right, and we saw EnVy picking up the Zyra to complement the Varus. There you see they lock it in. They go for this extremely aggressive push and poke focused bot lane to generate a lot of pressure, which gives Lyra space to go in for these aggressive invades that he's kind of known for. And I like Gold Coin United's plan of trying to match that early game pressure from the other team's bot lane, going with Karma, a strong pokey champion who also has the shields to negate some of Zyra's poke, and then Caitlyn being one of generally the strongest lane bully champions in the game in the AD carry position.
So lots of damage potential coming out from both of these bottom sides of the map, but it does leave a little bit of a disproportionate first pick phase. Top laner picked up for EnVy, jungler picked up for Gold Coin United. We'll see if these teams try to focus down on some of those positions in this second ban phase. Lee Sin being banned away from Gold Coin United looks like they want to start to target down and pinpoint Lyra's champion pool to more of, like you said, those early game effective junglers, whereas Team EnVy on the opposite side have banned out the Vladimir and the Renekton, so they don't want to have that Renekton sort of counter matchup against the Camille, but the Rumble is still available for that top lane pick.
Right. I think Team EnVy is fine playing the kind of more skill-based matchup versus the Rumble. Once again, Rumble will have a little bit of an advantage in that matchup, but it's much easier for Camille to start getting a lot further ahead if you can farm out in the early laning phase and you can start potentially ganking it at 6. Whereas Renekton, even if you gank it once or twice, it still matches up fairly well versus the Camille and bully it early on. Camille will, of course, outscale it, but they want to focus more on potentially getting a skill matchup than one where it's just considered losing. So I do like the Renekton ban there. And Lyra gonna lock in his Nidalee. We saw a variation on it yesterday. We were talking about how he's this weird AD bruiser Nidalee, but then yesterday he went full AP with it.
Yeah, we'll see if he winds up doing the same thing here. There is a little bit of potential for magic damage, so the Syndra's still on the table if they want to give that one to Ninja. But if he goes to the AP style of Nidalee, that could open up Ninja to play Talon or Jace or one of those AD-focused champions that he prefers. On the flip side for Gold Coin United, though, we've seen Fizz being taken into the top lane against that Camille pick as well. Licorice did not have a fun time on that one, although we also potentially have the Echo that Seraph played against the Camille in his own game, but it looks like they are going to steal the Jace away from the side of EnVy, giving that one over to Phoenix in the mid lane, and they do go for that Rumble versus Camille matchup top side.
And we see EnVy locking the Talon as well, so looks like it's going to be a pretty explosive game here. No tanks, lots of damage, lots of playmaking. should be a fun matchup overall.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of how the first matchup of EnVy versus United went the other day, where there were no tanks in that match whatsoever. It was like 25 kills at like 15 minutes on into the game. Goldcoin United, of course, do play a little bit more of a controlled and a more calm style of play. And one of the criticisms we had of Team EnVy in their game 2, where Lira was on this Nidalee, was that his team fight effectiveness on that champion was not comparable to all of his other jungle pickups. He was out farming Gilead's extremely heavily.
Yeah, Flame Horizoned him, right?
20 minutes into the game was Flame Horizoning him. However, his team fight prowess was just not there on that Nidalee pickup.
And that's the thing, whenever you play the AP Nidalee, you have to pick like the perfect opportunity to go in. She really does kind of play more like an assassin than the poke champion, even though she has that long range skill shot, high damage spear on her Q. A lot of her power is locked away in her Cougar form. And so when you're the AD Bruiser build, you're a little tankier, it's a little easier to get in there and start scrapping in team fights. When you go the pure AP build, it can be a little more difficult to get involved.
So Goldcoin United, we've definitely seen this play style from them before. Phoenix's Jace is no stranger from the Challenger Series, and Solo's Rumble. You've seen him play that into the Camille multiple times. He himself has said, hope you guys have enjoyed casting the 4v4, because he oftentimes spends a lot of time dealing with that Camille on the side lane. This is Seraph's Camille, though, where yesterday, 7-0-9, 8-0-4, extremely good score lines coming out from him.
And the scary thing, of course, is the fact that they also have so much mobility around the map. Talon, one of the best early roamers. Nidalee, extremely efficient in her jungle clear and her ability to hop over walls. So Solo could be in a lot of trouble here if we see EnVy making roams up to the top side. You expect that's what they're going to try and do. They have that shoving bot lane like we talked about, hoping to probably just push in and deal with the 2v2 versus Mash and Madlife, while the top side of the map kind of makes things happen.
Well, nobody wants to wind up being in trouble in any of these lanes. This is the last best of 5 of the Summer 2017 promotion tournament. Everybody's lives are on the line here. If you win this one, you're in the NALCS for the summer split. You lose this one, you're back down to Challenger.
That's a culmination of a long season for both these teams. You know, we've been casting GCU the whole way. We've seen the evolution that comes in for this team. They've grown a ton since they debuted. You know, Madlife wasn't even there in their first week, and then they were swapping AD carries, and here they are now in the final match of the promotion tournament going up against EnVy.
And EnVy, pretty much the same. Did not have Lira for their first week of matches. Got him in week number 2. Took a little bit of time to ramp up with him. Towards the end of the split, definitely looked like a team that could wind up winning against, surprisingly, almost any single team. They were taking games off of teams like TSM. They were taking games off of the likes of Cloud9. However, in a best-of-3 series, you got to take 2 games off of them in order to wind up coming out ahead, and that's how EnVy find themselves in this promotion tournament. Still one of the best early game teams from the North American LCS, but Goldcoin United, in their previous best-of-5 against them on Friday, were able to quell that aggression through great vision control.
Yeah, we talk about Goldcoin United being a little bit slow of a team. That does match up fairly well versus EnVy, who feel like they need to get a huge, like, 3,000 gold advantage relatively early on to the game to blow it open, because if you go any lower than that, you risk losing a late-game team fight. So Goldcoin United going for a little bit of an invade onto the red buff. Potentially just going to steal these away. Lira actually starting on the bot side this time around.
Yeah, interestingly enough, though, had those traps all set up. Santorin going to be taking away those raptors on his opponent's side of the map. I actually don't know if Ninja wound up stealing it. He stole some of those away because Santorin was unable to hit level 2 off of that raptor take. So the Nidalee traps combined with the Talon Rake being able to steal away some experience from Santorin on this jungle invade.
Yeah, unfortunately not level 2 quite yet. See Goldcoin United, the massive favorites in the fan votes here. But, you know, Santorin, good start, I think, actually. Even though he doesn't get the level 2, he does steal away the red buff. He's going to be able to clear down into his jungle potentially. And looks like he's actually going to look quickly at a gank here at Ninja.
Yeah, he wants to make Ninja pay for his aggressions against the Raptor camp. Getting knocked back in by Phoenix. The exhaust had gone down extremely early. Ninja trying to get a trade kill back around, but Phoenix flashes some first blood for Santorin.
Very surprising to see that kill come in on the side of GCU. Ninja had ward on the Raptor camp. We saw him steal away. You know he's going to go for that red buff later. He was still playing a little bit down towards the bottom side, but even then, Santorin was still able to find the angle on him and get first blood.
Yeah, Ninja here deciding he was going to go on Phoenix. The exhaust gets used extremely early, so that is over, but Ninja, instead of just trying to run away, thinks he's pretty much dead and tries to get a trade kill.
Right, I think once he fails the flash, he realizes his only hope is to turn around. Good knockback by Phoenix, actually, is what kind of put him more in position to get that gank off by Santorin. Good combination between Phoenix and him to get that first blood kill. And this is kind of what we talk about. The scary thing for EnVy is that Santorin is no slouch at all compared to you know, some of the other junglers he's gone up against. He was able to get the best of Gilius. And I mean, Santorin did not beat Lira individually 1v1, and I think he only got the better of him one game. but he was able to keep his team relevant enough in their first matchup that Lyra could not hand the rest of his teammates the leads that they need to carry.
Yeah, and the interesting thing we saw, the adaptation from Santorin in that first best of 5 was the ability to get up in the face of Lyra and aggressive, but now it's going to be Phoenix that's paying for his transgressions earlier in the mid lane. A flash forward and a pounce from Lyra picks up a return kill mid.
Good gank by Lyra there. Phoenix had no summoners off that first blood. And good knockback on the pounce of Lyra, but he's able to keep going forward, gets the trade kill now. Getting some more counter jungling down, trying to find some camps to grab away from Santorin, who's still on spot side.
And as I was talking about before, both of these junglers getting a bit aggressive. This female top lane here, Seraph, just getting traded upon by Solo. Blast the flash over the wall. Lyra is right there to kind of help him out, but no over-aggression coming out from Solo, knowing that something was up.
Yeah, really good restraint there. He knows the fact that Phoenix just died. I'm pretty sure that they saw Lyra start passing up onto the top side. He gets over-aggressive, potentially. We see Hakuho force the flash, getting away from that tether from Mad Life.
A flash burned from Hakuho's Zyra. We also saw Apollo taking a chunk of damage from that headshot coming out from the 90 caliber net landing, and this is just that return gang into the mid lane here. No vision on Lyra coming up from the jungle. They knew he was by the red buff, and Phoenix went to ward.
This is one of the criticisms that a lot of people had of Phoenix during his time in the LCS, was the fact that he often did not play he plays the lane matchup extremely well and bullies out almost anyone, but sometimes he does not react to jungler pressure correctly and doesn't place his wards quite right. So they saw Lyra leave the bottom of Santorin's jungle. He hops out, and Phoenix wants to go ward, is a little bit too late. Lyra has moved up the river at this point, and now Phoenix is just exposing himself to a gank as opposed to covering that potential gank, and he ends up giving the trade kill there.
That's just one of the powers of Nidalee too, is the fact that she can move across the map so quickly because of the pounce. We talked about how mobile the composition of Team EnVy is, and it already pays off extremely early on there by getting a return kill in that mid lane matchup, and even things up a little bit there for Ninja. Meanwhile, Hakuho forced to have the heal there from Apollo. He had burned his flash earlier. And just that Caitlyn and the Karma lane, the bully lane of the bottom lane from GCU, getting the best of Apollo and Hakuho, who actually stepped up huge in the series against United yesterday. We're kind of called them the unsung heroes of that series. Right,
definitely. I think they had bot lane pressure a lot of the times. Once they got ganked by Gilius and they kind of ruined their plans, but for the most part, they were getting the better of the 2v2. This time around, I like GCU's plan, like I said, to go for that Caitlyn and Karma lane, basically the strongest push lane you can to negate the push lane that the enemy team is going for. And it takes away one of those pressure points that EnVy have been playing around a lot during the United series with.
And we saw Lyra getting a little up close and personal with Mad Life, getting dropped low compared to his Gromp, but able to smite that down and stay alive. Meanwhile, mid lane, the trades continue to go down between Phoenix and Ninja. These two very AD-focused mid laners getting a lot of trade damage. Phoenix, in the meantime, has picked up a Fairy Charm in his inventory, so we might wind up seeing the tier-style build of Jace. We have seen in the Challenger Series previously going for the full lethality build, but ever since that's had some slight nerfs to the lethality itemization, we have seen Jaces in the mid lane going for the tier. It gives them a little bit more sustainability in their mana pool.
Solo, camping out in this brush, just runs away with his shield up. Not actually going to try and do anything down to Seraph. But yeah, like you were saying, I personally do like the tier build a little bit more. I think it's scales a little bit better, and I understand that you're going to be getting blue buffs, so you can go for the early power spike, but seeing as this game's a little bit slower, I like Phoenix's decision to not read out for just some early game burst damage.
Yep, Solo backing away from Seraph because he knows Lyra is around. Well, the Hextech ultimatum gets thrown down. Lyra gonna just walk up, throw a couple of spears, so they know they can't dive underneath that tower. It's gonna be an ultimate traded for pretty much nothing here. Is Solo holding his own in this matchup against Seraph. Meanwhile, Ninja gonna be taking the Assassin's Path up and over the wall. Unlocked from the mid lane is this Talon after shoving in Phoenix's Jace. Now with 3 members strong, they might be looking for a dive. Solo outplayed 1v3 under tower yesterday, but unable to do that when he falls, but Santorin is right there to pick up a return kill.
Good cover by Santorin. The game plan of EnVy, a little telegraphed. We know that they are probably going to try and focus on this top side. Lyra made the first pass at Solo. Seraph drops his Hextech ultimatum. They weren't able to turn that one. Ninja disappears off the map. You know he's going to be heading up to that top side to try and get that punish down. And Santorin reacts, going up there to get the cleanup kill onto Ninja, trading 1-for-1. But there was a pretty big minion wave there that Solo had to miss out on, so he can't be too happy about that. Santorin able to grab it. And after all that action, still ends up being a relatively close game.
And as I mentioned yesterday, we saw Solo playing Shen able to survive a 1v3 dive against United, but EnVy able to execute this one a little bit better. Good equalizer, actually gets a lot of damage down on Ninja, but he's not the one tanking the tower. Good thing Graves is there to clean it up, though.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try and ult the minion wave and go for a little bit of a greedy CS there, but I like the idea to actually try and turn it back onto Ninja. and knowing that Santorin was coming into collapse, we got enough damage down onto Ninja, he could probably get the kill.
And we talked about how this may be a duel between the two junglers, both of them with both of the kills for their teams in this early stage of the game. Santorin, known for a little bit more of a farming style, has been in the right place, right time to kind of get that first blood, as well as counter-gank that assault in the top lane, has finished his warrior enchantment. Whereas we see on the flip side here for Lyra, has gone for the Aether Wisp, so indicative of going for that Runic Echoes build, but has stopped off and picked up a Sheen for a bit more of an power spike for that. And Italy going to be able to use those Sheen procs quite effectively.
Big thing that's different this time around for Envy, though, is the fact that their bot lane is down over 10 CS. Talk about how this was one of the power points on the map for them last time around. They have the Camille, have the Talon, a lot of things that they're comfortable playing with, but playing with a losing bot lane is something they might not have as much comfort with as they would need.
Something that they did not have to adjust to yesterday, as Apollo and Hakuo did wind up getting the best of Deftly and Zeyzal in their matchup for pretty much every single game of that best-of-5 series. They'd have a little bit of pressure from Lyra to help them out if they ever got themselves into a sticky situation. But as you did mention, not really used to playing against the bully lanes. Normally they were grabbing the Varus extremely early on, and then we wind up seeing Deftly going for Ashe if it was left open extremely early in the first rotation of pick phase. But then they were banning away the Ashe and banning away the Caitlyn, things that they knew that could go toe-to-toe with the Varus in the poke lane. More importantly, things that they know could apply a lot of pressure to Zyra, who, while she deals a lot of damage, also takes a lot of damage.
Right, and I think this is kind of the case of seeing Envy tunnel maybe a little bit too hard on the obvious game plan that they have. They want to rotate up to the top side and try and snowball that carry versus carry matchup. GCU now following that around. Graves is in the area.
Yeah, well, speaking of this snowball versus snowball top lane matchup, Santorin's there to counter gank the Hextech ultimatum. Seraph dropping down extremely low. Lyra takes a lot of damage. He's not a tanky Nidalee. One rocket winds up landing. The flash forward from Santorin. The end of the line is out, but double flashes there from the side of Envy keep them alive.
Both junglers padding up to the top side there, knowing that this is where a lot of the action is going to be around. And this actually favors GCU a little bit, where their bot lane's going to keep being able to push in. They're going to get advantages slowly over time, and as long as Santorin can keep neutralizing Lyra, which was the big problem in the first series for Envy, they'll probably be able to take this game as it goes later and later. We saw GCU having the better late game decision making.
Seraph going to wind up using his teleport to get back to lane, so GCU knows that as long as Solo has his left available, he'll have teleport advantage. Although Solo going to wind up going back because he has picked up his Seeker's Arm Guard, has about 1,000 gold in his pocket. We'll see if he winds up going back and buying a couple of items and if he holds on to that teleport or not. But GCU, as you mentioned, looking pretty solid throughout this early game so far. Very reminiscent of the first best-of-5 these guys played on Friday, where Goldcoin United was able to kind of quell the aggression of Envy, and while they weren't able to culminate into extreme gold advantages themselves, getting through the early to mid-game at an even pace worked wonders for them against Envy, who, as you mentioned, did not have the same kind of team fight coordination in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, during that series, there were times where Envy had, you know, a 2,000 gold lead, 20-something minutes in the game, but that's not enough for a team like Envy to really stomp people in team fights late game. And Goldcoin United would hang on, they would have good dragon control and things like that, and then eventually, as soon as it got to the 30-minute mark, we see Envy just start losing skirmishes and team fights and not playing properly around objectives. And it's trending that way right now in this game. And like we were saying, it's a really obvious game plan for what Envy wanted to do this time around. They obviously showed yesterday they want to pick a strong bottom lane. GCU counters that out. They pick a lot of playmaking around the top side of the map. Santorin plays heavily around the top side of the map so far. And since then, it's resulted in a 2-for-2 game. The gold's totally even now, 12 minutes in.
As you mentioned, objective control was a very strong thing for Goldcoin United in their previous series against Envy. So far, no one has looked towards the Elemental Drake. Ocean Drake was the first one of the game to spawn. Yesterday on NALCS 2 between Envy and E United, we had nothing but Ocean and Cloud Drakes. So we'll see if we wind up getting something a little bit more aggressive after that one, but we'll have to wait to see who takes it first.
Yeah, right. Hopefully fix their RNG machine on the Dragons.
I don't know, maybe we just crank it up for like the last game of the promotion tournament.
All Infernal, somehow you get more than 3 on a team.
I think that's when you would actually say the RNG is a little bit broken, but Lyra, as if he's been listening to us this entire time, decides that, hey, it's Ocean Drake on the map, don't want it here anymore. Do you see some wards coming over the wall from Goldcoin United that might be looking to contest this, though? Supports and junglers nearby, and Lyra's already tanked that Ocean Drake down to about half HP. Half HP on the Nidalee itself. The spear goes out, but it's actually Santorin saying, hey, buddy, thanks for the leash. Good
force away there by Goldcoin United, getting in range just in time. A couple seconds later, Envy maybe secures that one. So now they might be getting flanked around. Ninja's gonna kick this one off.
Yeah, they're getting rooted up. Santorin dropped down extremely low. The Ignite comes through, and Ninja secures the kill off the back of the Dragon. Take a flash away from Mad Life. We'll get him out of the chain of corruption, but Envy collapsed after the Dragon died.
Getting a little greedy there after they get the Dragon. They're grouped up looking for an invade, trying to catch someone rotating through that choke point. But they were on top of Envy Vision. Envy gets a flank off.
Bottom side though, Mash caught up pretty much all by himself. Stranglethorns goes out, has to flash away as the Ignite's ticking down as well. Last plant shot in the Ignite will not wind up resulting in a kill. A teleport was coming in from Solo, but it winds up getting canceled there by Seraph. Looks like the hook shot was able to be used there, but now they're going to wind up trading ultimate for ultimate. The Equalizer goes across the minions. Seraph using the ultimatum pretty much just as a delay tactic here for Lyra to show up. Nobody winds up dying.
Solo got a little antsy with his Equalizer there. Wanted to use it to cut off the escape path of Seraph, but he needs to layer it further on top of himself as well in case Seraph does use the Hextech ultimatum to dodge out of that damage. So you can still layer it forward that Seraph has to run through, but you also need to make sure the tail end of it drops onto yourself. Well,
Solo getting aggressive, but he knows that both junglers are in the area now. Santorin going to try to counter-gank Lyra yet again. Flamespitter out, dealing a lot of damage to Lyra. Has the Runic Echoes, has the Sheen, but not a lot of HP. And Lyra's going to have to pounce himself out of there.
Get both members of Envy's topside really low now. GCU wants to roam up there. Phoenix is kind of cutting off Ninja. We're seeing more of this 3v3 action around the top side.
Yeah, top side of the map has been the focal point for this match. But Seraph using the sweep to get aggressive here. Drops down extremely low. Now Ninja going to have to use the Assassin Path to try to get out. Solo with the Flamespitter burning the collateral damage is there, and Solo picks up a kill. No Shadow Assault going to save Ninja. Lyra in the meantime takes a shot blast to the back. Flamespitter charged, and Phoenix gets the second kill of that one. Seraph in the meantime is going to wind up going down as Phoenix flashes through the tower, and Santorin picks up the first tower gold on the backside.
Massive play there by GCU, reading the pressure. Both teams running up to the top side yet again, but this time Gold Coin United crushes the skirmish 3-0 and it's able to grab the first 2 turrets of the game.
Yeah, both of them on the top side of the map, so Gold Coin United, as if out of thin air, leaped themselves into a 2,500 gold lead off of just a reaction to what Envy was trying to do topside.
So this is after Solo already kind of won the skirmish versus Seraph. Ultimates are down. And generally speaking, Rumble is a little bit stronger of a champion in this situation. And then Phoenix gets the inside path on Ninja. He's not able to get a good flank off. Phoenix is landing poke. And they're just at a big HP disadvantage here, but they still try and force this fight. Seraph walks forward, wanting to kind of scare them off the turret. That just leads them to turn back quickly.
Meanwhile,
that replay,
yeah, Apollo and Hako looking like they just count Mash out, not looking here. Able to pick up a kill for themselves on the bottom side of the map. So while the top side of the map was losing that 3v3 skirmish, Envy's bottom side strike back after being a little bit abused in this lane phase.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about there being the push advantage for GCU. They're winning that matchup. Come level 6, though, Apollo and Hako have an extremely strong all-in. You land a root, you land a Varus ultimate, you drop all your damage, you ignite them, and you're able to pick up first kill. Or your first kill in the bot lane, excuse me. Not first blood. There's been a lot of kills.
There's been a lot of bloodshed already, Mark. 9 kills in this game. 5 for GCU, 4 for Envy, and potentially another one here. Seraph has the hook shot available. Going to get himself out from Santorin and Solo, but the Equalizer being used to cut off one way of pathing. Seraph just walks the other.
Yeah, that was a questionable Equalizer right there. He thought maybe Seraph was going to try and hook shot to the wall and wanted to layer it on top or something. I'm not exactly sure what he's looking for. Take another look at that kill in the bot lane. Mash has no summoners. They hit a pretty long-range Varus ultimate onto him, and then there you see that chain CC land the root. Doesn't even get knocked up by the Zyra ultimate before he's already dead.
And he netted at the same time the Chain of Corruption hit, so he was rooted in place and couldn't wind up going anywhere, was unable to dodge that one out. So return kill on the bot side for Envy's bottom lane, though it is Gold Coin United who find themselves with about a 2,000 gold lead just sub 20 minutes into this game. Does not bode very well for Envy because every single game that they have not had a lead at 20 minutes so far, in the promotion tournament at least, they have not come out the victors.
Right, they're not in a great spot so far. GCU, we talk about their style not being the type to really explode a game open. Sure that they had that great skirmish in the top side there, that they got the 3-0 and they got the 2 turrets, but they're not the kind of team now to snowball the rest of the map after that advantage. They're more like the type of team to grind you out, and now that they have control top side, they'll get complete vision of your top jungle and limit your options versus going for a game-breaking play.
Meanwhile, Apollo bot side uses the Chain of Corruption once again, lands on the Mash, but there's no follow-up there from Hako, a little bit too far away. Lyra and Santorin both hovering around this bottom side. And I feel like every single time I go to mention Lyra, I just look a little bit off to the side of the screen, and Santorin is right there to match him this game.
Yeah, he's just marking Lyra wherever he goes. Pretty impressive considering the fact that, generally speaking, as great of a farmer as Graves is, keeping pace with Nidalee can be difficult. He's done a good job of. Now Phoenix getting a little caught out of position here.
Yeah, trying to get aggressive on the Ninja, but all of a sudden Hakuo and Lyra show up mid lane, and Phoenix goes down.
Pushed up too far. He thought, well, he was aware of the fact that Envy had members around the bot side of the map, but he thought that they'd be stuck more under the turret dealing with the pressure that MASH and Mad Life are putting out. EnVy decides to dance around that pressure and rotate up to the top lane and get a roam off onto Phoenix. Nice that they're able to get the kill, but if they have to trade it for the bot turret, it might not be worth it.
Right, what is a kill to a tower here at Goldcoin United's bottom side of the map? Looking to push this one down. Santorin even dashing over the wall. EnVy knows that they cannot defend that one. Third tower of the game, the second outer tower going down for GCU.
EnVy still hanging around though, only 2,000 gold down. Normally, you'd say that's plenty to come back from. They still have the ability, if Seraph can get going a little bit more here, eventually he might start winning the 1v1 split push. They can run either a 4-1 or a 1-3-1 with their team comp. It's much harder to play out from behind when you don't have pressure, but they're potentially one big skirmish away from coming back into this game.
Well, it looked like they wanted to go for that skirmish around this Ocean Drake. However, Santorin dashing back over the wall, realizing it was not safe to take. EnVy on the opposite side, though. We mentioned that Lyra in this Nidalee pickup was not the most effective at utilizing it in the teamfight phase of this game. The fact of the matter is that he does not have the massive CS advantages over Santorin that he did over Gilius in the Nidalee versus Lee Sin matchup. So we'll see if this Nidalee pickup can kind of turn on, because at this point in time, we saw Lyra split pushing with it in the game against United. We saw him being able to duel against people and continuously moving around the map to get kills. He has 3 of the 5 kills on EnVy right now, but if he's not going to have the same effectiveness in these team fights as Santorin is going to, EnVy may be a little bit further behind in these skirmishes, in this kind of looking to turn around team fight than we may think they are. Ocean Drake being started up by Goldcoin United, smited down, no way to contest him in.
Goldcoin United continuing to have much better dragon control than EnVy. That was a problem for EnVy in the first series that these guys played on Friday. And once again, Goldcoin United getting better of them. A lot of it coming down to the fact that their bot lane has been winning. So even though EnVy tried to start that first dragon off, Goldcoin United was in range to contest it. We get the second one here. MASH trying to get away from Seraph using the blast cone there, not quite able to do so.
Yep, winds up landing. Equalizer though, flashes away from Seraph. He's able to walk back through that one. So Seraph getting the best of Solo in these trades now that Trinity Force has been completed. But meanwhile, Goldcoin United's Phoenix being collapsed on, has already used the exhaust. Decides to charge back onto Phoenix, onto Ninja. Flashes out though as Seraph clutches from the top side, and Phoenix getting maybe a little bit too aggressive there, goes down.
Looks like he wasn't aware of the fact that Seraph could potentially collapse from the top lane. He jumps back on the Ninja there, thinking he can get a trade kill. But Seraph shows up and he has to flash away, unable to get out of range. Obviously, a lot of chase down available with Camille, Nidalee, and Talon. Great champions for making sure that your prey does not escape. And this is what we're talking about. EnVy still had a lot of playmaking available, finding kills where they can get them, cutting the gold lead down to just 1,000 now.
Yeah, and that's off the back of just straight up kills and CS advantages now. They don't have a tower down quite yet. Meanwhile, Hakuo gonna get trapped out there. MASH and Santorin combining for a kill. That's what I mean when Zyra deals a lot of damage, but also takes a lot of damage.
And not the best defensive abilities for Zyra. Basically, you hope you root people before they can get onto you and kill you. Unable to do it that time around. And now with him down, Ninja's still low from that skirmish. GCU looking to pressure around this mid turret. Doesn't look like EnVy will have an easy job contesting this one. We'll take another look at how all this happens. So Seraph opens up on the Solo here. Like we were saying, the Camille can eventually get back into this matchup. She has her Spectre's Cowl complete at this point, so you see Solo not doing a ton of damage. Phoenix wants to rotate up, bumps into Lyra, has to run away now because Talon has that chase down threat. Does a decent job disengaging it here, but he decides to, instead of flashing away, jump back on the Ninja thinking he might be able to clean him up, but then he realizes Seraph is still in range, then he flashes away. And obviously Lyra's still involved in that fight as well, able to chase him down for his 4th kill.
It was a good flash followed by Ninja as well, getting to the opposite side of the blast cone, so he's able to chase down after Phoenix. As you mentioned, Phoenix known for being a little bit over-aggressive. Was the one fault that we really said of him so far, not only just this time in the NALCS, but his time throughout the Challenger Series as well. Able to accrue giant CS advantages in lane, able to accrue great gold leads, but then a little haphazardly sometimes flashing into situations where he may not should have been flashing into. I recall one specific Vladimir 1v4 flash in against United yesterday that did not work out well for him, but his aggressive tendencies, I wouldn't say it's like very feast or famine, it's very high risk, high reward is the better way to put it.
Right, and I think sometimes you can see it and be like, what is he possibly thinking? And other times he makes a play and it's like, oh my god, he just won his team the game. It leads to people having divisive opinions on him. I mean, we had that one game where he just walked back into an Ahri Spirit Orb just because, he was, thinking, all right, well, I dodged out in the gank, I'm fine now, and just traded a kill back under the turret. So can be a little hit or miss with his decision making.
I also recall a very specific Azir play from 2015, I believe it was, where everybody was telling him to back away from a tower, and he walks out with a quadra kill.
Yeah, the one before quadra kill that basically won his team the game is the kind of playmaking you'll find with Phoenix when he's hitting the mark.
And if he misses the mark, he gets stuck on the caster desk with this guy.
Haha!
Meanwhile, Envy looking to defend up against this mid lane outer tower. The last one on the map for them. Seraph got his full split push game going on, though. We mentioned the fact he's got the Trinity Force. Spectre's Cowl means he can match up very well against this Rumble. Bottom side of the map, though, Gold Coin United has Phoenix for his own split push potential on this Jace, being matched up against Ninja and the Talon here. Santorin, though, he's been bumping and jumping all over the map. Able to meet up on the bottom side here with Phoenix, also forcing Lyra to make a response down here. So Gold Coin United putting pressure on the map. However, it's Envy that wind up with the tower in the split push game first.
Envy clawing their way back into the game now. Basically no gold advantage despite being 3,000 gold down earlier on in the game. And this is a really difficult one to talk about because we always say, you know, Gold Coin United just needs to hold on versus Envy to the late game, then they should eventually be able to win through better team play. And then at the same time, you see Gold Coin United with a 3K gold advantage and not get anything off it and actually lose that gold advantage. That doesn't feel good either. So it's still in a bit of a fragile state for both teams here.
It's specifically losing that gold advantage come the 25-minute mark when Envy, during the NALCS, was losing their own gold advantage. So Apollo here looks like he might get caught out a little bit. Collateral damage will not wind up finding a kill. Does have to burn both summoner spells to stay alive. This might be the opening GCU needs. That one little advantage that they normally get to try to pressure down into an objective, but Ninja going to wind up using the Assassin's Path over the wall. Stranglethorns comes out from Hakuo, basically uses wave clear duty to try to keep this tower alive.
It's a lot of cooldowns used by Envy to stop this turret from dropping. Ninja still messing around on the flank here, but it's going to be hard for Envy to hold on to this last outer turret of the game for them with Gold Coin United grouped up 5 strong. Instead, Envy going to group, or split up, not grouping to defend. You see Ninja run down to try and pressure that bot outer turret.
And the bottom tower got down extremely low, but that's going to be the go button here for the side of Gold Coin United. Equalizer snipes out a kill. A solo picks up his second one of the game. Now it's going to be looking like it might be a 2-for-1 tower trade. Ninja's away on the bottom lane. That tower is already low. GCU, they take a fresh one mid.
Now Lyra might get caught out.
Yeah, Lyra going to have to flash away here, just stepping on a trap, getting rooted up, and feeding some mash, being able to collapse. Seraph is still split pushing on the top side of the map, so while Envy is seeding pressure in the mid lane, they are creating some side lane pressure, and it will force Gold Coin United to back away after taking 2 towers.
No, this is the dance of the 1-3-1 comp. You want to try and hold on around mid lane as hard as you can, buy enough time for your side lane split pushers to start taking turrets. That time does not work out. Gold Coin United find an opening for a couple kills and grab some turrets. Whereas usually, if they're able to hold, it looks horrible for the team grouping up. It's all about execution, really, and that time around, Gold Coin United find the picks.
GCU, 5 towers down on the map, only 2 for Envy. Mountain Drake is going to be live soon. For the first
hey,
time
we're getting one of my favorite dragons, finally. I didn't get a single dragon I liked last time.
That's okay, I got plenty of Cloud and Ocean Drakes yesterday, so I'll give you one. I turned the RNG machine over to Mark settings.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
If there's another one, if they take this Mountain Dragon, I guarantee it'll be an Infernal Drake, just for you.
You guarantee it?
I don't guarantee.
All right, Stats Guy Tom guaranteeing that RNG is deterministic and we're getting Infernal Dragon next. Lyra soloing the Mountain Dragon for now.
Don't let me down, game. Don't let me down. But Lyra are going to be getting the first Dragon of the game for Team Envy, which, as you mentioned, whenever we see a Mountain Drake go down, not the best from behind, but with a lot of towers still on the map, Lyra could potentially be getting something good for his team over there. Next one. Ah, I lied. It's a Cloud Drake.
You did the exact opposite, Tom.
April Fools. Stay late.
Yeah, you got me. A little surprising to see GCU not actually group up to try and contest that Mountain Dragon. They are kind of stronger in a 4v4. They have their teleport available to match. Instead, they try and make a big play on the top side. They lose out on that Mountain Dragon. Seraph gets away free, and because they had so many people busy up there, Envy pushes down mid as well, getting a lot of objectives there for basically giving up nothing.
Yeah, and that means that Gold Coin United has seeded even more pressure on the map, so they've gotten a lot of towers. They've been able to push up. They've been able to contest when Envy tries to go for something, but this is the first time we've seen them in this specific game unable to react to what Envy was doing across the map. So Mountain Drake taking up for Envy. Top line pressure gained back for Envy. Gold lead gained back for Envy.
Great mid game here so far out of them. Finding a lot of picks as well. It's not totally off just moving around Gold Coin United. They've also found some kills onto some key members. They found Phoenix that one time, able to get him. And I'm a little surprised to see Goldcoin United, when they had that huge advantage topside, not try and transition his bottom a little bit harder. You know, Solo has not, he started grouping up more now, but before then he maybe could have tried to roam mid and get a kill onto Ninja. And that's one of the criticisms of Goldcoin United. Sometimes it does feel, as we said multiple times, like they lack that extra gear, the ability to really kick it into overdrive and run their opponents over. When you win a skirmish that hard around the top side, you think that they're going to start really dominating the game, but instead, slowly and steadily, EnVy has found their way back into it.
Well, that's one of the things we saw in the first best of 5 between these two teams, is the fact that Goldcoin United, very typically, when they won a game, it was 40 minutes or longer. Team EnVy, the game they actually wound up winning, was something they had to come back. Basically, they had a goal lead the entire time, but felt like they had to come back from behind in map pressure in a 52.5-minute slugfest against GCU.
Yeah, funnily enough, winning the longest game of that series, despite how much we often talk about EnVy's poor late game.
This time around, though, they seem to be doing a little bit of a better job shoring up some of these holes in the middle of the game. Just have to wait and see how they transition to the later stages of the game. Seraph's Camille was a big factor in their wins against United yesterday. Trinity Force, the Spirit Visage picked up, delaying the Titanic Hydra, going for more of the defense against the Rumble, already winning that matchup as you see him pushing up against the tower on the bottom side of the matchup. Once he gets that Titanic Hydra, though, it's going to be a lot of wave clear and a lot of damage coming out from the Camille in the split push game.
I'm a little surprised to see Goldcoin United kind of opt into this carry versus carry playstyle around the top lane. They're playing Nautilus a lot in their first matchup, and I thought that worked well in terms of just limiting the snowball potential out of Seraph and kind of playing into EnVy's late game team fighting problems. Here you see Seraph just picking Solo apart in the side lanes, and this is not at all the kind of gameplay you want to see if you're going up against EnVy.
No, we also saw a lot of Camille bans in their first best of 5 series. This time around, letting it slip through, and Seraph making them pay for their transgressions against the pick and ban phase. As Phoenix is now going to come down here, try to match himself up against the Camille, while Rumble has to go back to base and heal.
Phoenix just holding the turret enough to make Seraph want to back away. Now he runs back up to the mid lane. Doesn't want to get caught on the far side of the map. 30 minutes in, potentially losing out on a Baron buff. Can't stick around that bot lane too long. Runs completely across the map, trying to get up to this top wave.
Yep. Looks like GCU, more of the reactive style. We saw it out of Santorin throughout the early game, reacting to where Lyra was going to be, reacting to the position of Ninja in the mid lane after they went for that level 1 jungle invade, being at the right place, right time, able to turn things around. Goldcoin United's style, they're not super proactive, you mentioned. They kind of lack that overdrive gear, but they are extremely good at adapting to what their team or opposing teams are going to be doing for their own engagement. You see Apollo and Hako getting caught over here. Flashes have to be burned. Lyra is waiting around the backside, maybe trying to get a flank. But Goldcoin United, they see only 2 in the mid lane, and they pounce and punish.
Really nice aggressive flash forward. Lyra was kind of waiting off in the wing, wanting to poke GCU as they backed off that situation. Instead, they continue to step forward, hop onto Apollo there. Smash playing very aggressive. Kind of stuff you want to see out of a Caitlyn late in the game now, already at 3 items. Start becoming that late game powerhouse.
Yeah, some Mash. Infinity Edge and 2 Zeal items, 1 Rapid Fire Cannon, 1 Runon's Hurricane picked up for himself between him and Phoenix. Dishing out a lot of pain between those 2 AD-focused champions. It does seem like that the core group of 3 on the Goldcoin United side, not necessarily more coordinated, but definitely a lot more damage and a lot more pushing potential compared to the core group of 3 coming out from EnVy's side. This also does stem from the fact that EnVy's bottom lane did not have the same advantages in this game that they did in the series against United yesterday.
Right, I mean, on the side of EnVy, you have a lot of poke, you have your Varus Qs, you have your Zyra plants to try and do damage. You also have Nidalee throwing a lot of spears, but if they're not connecting on things, the raw damage and burst available for Goldcoin United, it's a little scary. You obviously have the long range Caitlyn, auto attacks, traps, all that zone control, as well as Graves having a ton of burst.
See Goldcoin United utilizing that very effectively in the mid lane. However, the Varus and Zyra wave clear has been keeping them at bay and not being able to threaten an inhibitor tower in the mid lane. Seraph has slowly but surely been whittling away on this tower, and it looks like Solo will now have to cede pressure to that. So EnVy going to get the first tower, or the second tower in the bottom lane, the first of this kind of 1-3-1 split push duel. We saw some duels going on in the jungle here. The exhaust already coming out from the side of Madlife onto Lyra, trying to keep his carries alive as Mash took a decent amount of damage in that trade. But they got 2 Ocean Drakes.
Up to 2 Ocean Drakes. That Warlord's crit, giving him 450 health back.
Yeah, Mash took no damage in that trade whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, Goldcoin United's not actually doing anything with all this pressure that they have. They're not really threatening the Baron too hard. Even if they do, they don't have enough lockdown to stop and punish a face check from an Nidalee who's going to be walking in, throwing spears, dropping traps, most likely. Same with the Varus, just kind of shooting skill shots into it. So you see, despite how much they want to lure EnVy in, Envy realized that they don't have to super respect it now. Goku United feeling pressure to actually want to force this one down.
Looks like Phoenix was pushing up in that top side of the map, and Ninja actually starting to recall, as is Seraph. So Envy might not know this one's going down. They got a lot of damage between the Jace, the Graves, and the Caitlyn. Goku United are burning this one down. No response from Envy, and they're able to take a very sneaky bear.
I was saying that Envy was doing a good job not respecting the threat of Goku United. They went a little too far with it. They did not actually walk up at all. They weren't checking brushes. Envy seemed totally convinced that Goku United actually just totally backed away from that situation. Lyra goes down to Soul the Dragon, and Goku United pick up a free Baron in exchange. Not a good trade at all for Envy.
Not the best in the world. Now Goku United, while they've been struggling in these split push situations with their own solo laners, maybe struggling to push to break down that mid lane inhibitor tower. Gonna be looking pretty with a Baron buff to have the minions help push it down with them. They still are at a slight gold disadvantage. Well, it's only about 1,000 and a couple hundred after that. So Goku United basically stepping toe-to-toe, and this Baron buff is going to be making up a lot of that gap in gold. So Seraph and Solo, the same old trades on the bottom side here, but there's a lot of minions and a Phoenix there, as Seraph gonna have to hookshot his way out of that one. Solo running forward with the Flame Spitter. Phoenix now swapping into his range form, lands the Shock Blast, but Seraph still at half HP. Going to be healthy enough to hookshot his way out of there, but now Goku United, 3 members strong on the bottom side of the map. They're setting their sights on the objective now that Seraph is out of the way.
And it looks like Envy electing to not actually directly contest them, trading with Ninja and Lyra on the top side, trying to push that one down, but they are way behind in this push.
Yep, already one tower gone. Envy, in the meantime, has gone back to face the heal. Top side of the map, though, they are responding with a push coming out from Ninja and Lyra, but they're about to lose an inhibitor tower before they even reach the inhibitor from their side. Got a little bit of a base race situation going on, Mark, as Goku United look to not be letting up pressure whatsoever. The mid lane's been pushed up by MASH. They're getting 2 inhibitors for the price of 1 inhibitor tower. Envy has to recall. They get nothing for that. GCU just took the whole world.
A disastrous trade again by Envy there, going for a 2-turret trade for giving up 2 inhibitors. Not at all what you'd want to see. They had to kind of back off there, because at that point GCU could have threatened to keep pushing and end the game. And now you see them get back in time to defend this inhibitor. And this is what we were talking about. Envy's late game team play just falls apart after 30 minutes into the game. As soon as it gets to that point, GCU is able to pick up a free Baron. They're able to pick up 2 free inhibitors. And despite Envy showing that in the early mid game they can make a ton of plays and get gold leads, and even from behind continue to find opportunities to find kills, that doesn't help at all if come the mid-late game, you can't actually play around objectives properly.
Late game decision making for Envy has been their bane this entire 2017 year so far. Goku United on the opposite hand, the later the game gets, the more intelligent their play gets. Goku United now grouping up as 5 members strong on the top side of the map, only 1 inhibitor left open. Still got 45 seconds of Baron buff and a healthy minion wave. Envy has to be able to do something. They have to be able to defend here.
Envy looking a little bit for a flank here, but they find Solo.
Gets the Zanya's up. Chain of Corruption did not wind up landing. Lyra gonna jump onto a trap. He gets takedown extremely low. Collateral damage, and 1 more shot from Phoenix will find the kill. That is the Fed member from Envy down.
This is what we're talking about. Envy's team comp playing from behind is so difficult. They don't have anyone who wants to go in and actually kick a fight off. Even if you land a root or anything like that, other than Seraph jumping in, he's still not that tanky. He can get focused down. Solo teleports back in at full health into this 4v5.
Still got the Equalizer available. Envy just have to back away from their last remaining inhibitor. Ninja trying to cut some minion waves. This is going to get found out by Solo. Has to use the Shadow Assault just to run away. And with 3 inhibitors down, things are looking grim for Envy.
Very grim. Lyra's not up for another 20 seconds, so they have the long-range Caitlyn to try and burst these turrets down. Graves as well does a ton of damage to turrets. The first Nexus turret's down. They're on to the second one, and Phoenix is playing zone in duty.
Yeah, the Equalizer went across the back line. They are going to wind up losing Phoenix, but they've lost all the Nexus towers on the side of Envy. A flash forward from MASH finds a kill onto Apollo. He's actually going to wind up going down. Seraph has to flash to stay alive, but there's still 3 members here from the side of GCU. Looks like Solo's going to wind up picking up an exit kill on Ninja. The Nexus will be the next thing they kill. Goku United kick it off 1-0.
Getting a little bloodthirsty there, going for some extra kills when they have not yet secured the Nexus, but it works out. Santorin able to finish that one off. Talk about that Graves, late game being the extra 80 carry essentially. Able to finish that game off, and a really nice early game plan out of GCU overall. I like the aggressive pushing bot lane. Santorin tracks Lyra for most of the early game. They win an early skirmish on the top side, and even though Envy finds a way to even the gold out, it was too late into the game, and we saw their kind of late game deficiencies bite them in the butt again.
Yeah, and one of the big things was the fact that their core duo bot lane did not get the advantages that they did in the series against United, so they really were not able to hold their own against the 3-member core of Santorin with that extra damage coming out from the Graves when they went into the 1-3-1 situation.
And to be fair, I thought Envy was doing a decent job trading out. There was the one time that I think it was Hakuho got caught and died, and then from that point, they were like, all right, well, we can't even really hold anymore. Let's just split and push more. The big problem came from the fact that they did not respect the Baron threat that was available for GCU, and they were correct to not walk in right away, but at some point you do need to start laying those traps down and working your vision line forward a little bit, and they just totally disrespected the fact that GCU could even do that Baron.
Yeah, the objective control from Goldcoin United was a really make-or-break point in that entire game there. But for more on the GCU win, let's hand it over to Freak and the analysts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast so far on the day. Let's talk about the fact that GCU did take Game 1 over Team Envy, and it was close for a while, though. Early game back and forth, mid-game back and forth, and then a Baron sneak just like won the game.
And that's the thing. I think that it being close for a while in the early game is so much in favor of Goldcoin United. Envy is this team where the thing you're worried about is a 10,000 gold lead at like 15 minutes or something. And if you're able to go, head-to-head, just getting to the late game versus Envy is exactly what you want.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think one of the problems was just with the team comp that Envy has here. I think that while they had good split push advantage, their wave clearing squad was never really able to stay safe, never really able to effectively clear out those waves. Nidalee doesn't have great wave clear. The Varus was not particularly safe under those turrets. They're constantly threatening dives and shoving it in and being able to force their will upon them. And I feel like you need to draft something a little bit more solid for your 3-man wave clear squad if you're trying to pull off 1-3-1.
Yeah, I think that, as much flack as Loco Doco gets on social media or whatever, the coaching staff for Goldcoin United is definitely a pro for this team, especially in this matchup, and one of those reasons predicted them to take the victory.
Yeah, I do want to talk about something real quick. We have the team comp graphic still down here. Now it goes away. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But speaking of coaching staff, though, I like how actually Team Envy kind of got themselves to play talent again, because we had seen the same bans back on Friday where you ban the AP top, or you prevent it by baiting Camille out there and things like that. And it's like, oh, you can't play Jace or Talon anymore. But like, well, we're just going to play Zyra support. We're going to play Nidalee jungle. We have enough magic damage. We're going to play Talon anyway to get him back in comfort. And to be honest, Ninja matched Phoenix for most of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Phoenix definitely didn't take over this game. It was more about just a team win from Goldcoin.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I did also want to shout for Goldcoin here is the way that they started this game. Because I was wondering, are they going to attack Lyra? Are you going to attack the strengths? Or are you going to try and feed off of Ninja, attack the weaknesses? They start out with both. This is a red quadrant invade from Santorin. And even though they saw the beginnings of this on the Raptor pit, and even Ninja contested it a little bit, he still pushed up here. So Santorin goes, I'm going to counter jungle Lyra to start this off, take away half of his jungle, then gank mid. Ninja messes up this gank. He could have flipped over the wall parkour to get away, goes for the kill back in. Then not only does Lyra have half of his jungle gone, he has to cover the mid lane. So Santorin doesn't even have to worry about giving away his red quadrant, and it really makes it a very easy for Goldcoin United to track Lyra for quite a while. That being said, Lyra is still a very good jungler, and he was still able to get off a bunch of kills in the early game. But as far as setting up the game, that was definitely one of the best ways that they could set themselves up for success in this one.
And I think also just attacking Ninja, who has had so many issues with these kind of micro plays as far as making the correct decisions in the moment. Here in this situation, he flashes away, but he fails his flash over the wall, and then he Qs back in. If you actually want to commit to that kill, you flash on the Jace in melee range, you Q for the melee bonus damage, and he actually at least trades a kill there. So at the very least, he could have done that. The top lane dive, he misplayed. Instead of running out the top, he runs down the bottom, gives over a kill to Santorin. There's a lot of little things that they did wrong, but despite that, I actually felt like they were in an advantageous position before the Baron, and they just failed to track it.
I mean, you can see this on the gold graph, right? The 20-minute mark comes through with a GCU early gold lead, then it goes down and down and down and down towards Envy. Like, they were winning the 20 to 35 minutes. Yes, okay, Baron happened. They failed the Baron control, but you had a 15-minute stretch of Envy getting more out of the game.
Plus, just to add more on top of this theme that we're probably going to be hearing a lot more of about Envy, and we've been talking about for the whole split, after the Baron, basically base facing a Baroned up team that's already got 4 members hitting turrets is never going to work out.
No.
There's no way you come back from that. And the fact that they even committed to like 30, 45 seconds of a base race versus the Baroned Up team was just a kicker to really put that one home.
I mean, it felt like they just thought it was hopeless to try to defend because their wave clear is pretty bad. So they send Italy and Talon who don't really have safe wave clear. But even then, I think you have a better chance of just committing to a 5v5 fight and hoping that you can pull out something there. But yeah, there's definitely some problems I think with how EnVy are playing this game and how EnVy has played all year long.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see if any of those issues get fixed. Of course, the best of 5. We've seen reverse sweep, we've seen all kinds of things in best of 5s. We'll see what actually ends up happening. But for now, we're heading for a break. But of course, there is more League of Legends coming up. So when we return, we're going to see if EnVy can answer GCU's win in Game 2. Don't go anywhere.
Getting knocked back in by Phoenix. The exhaust had gone down extremely early. Ninja trying to get a trade kill back around, but Phoenix flashes some first blood for Santorin.
Nice. Help. Hey, I'm 2 seconds. I'm pushing. Nice. Kill. Hey, Camille no flash. Oh, yeah, flash up. Nice. I'll take 3. Keep going.
Has already used the exhaust. Decides to charge back onto Phoenix, on the Ninja. Flashes out though with Seraplots from the top side, and Phoenix getting maybe a little bit too aggressive there. Gold Coin United kick it off 1-0.